on the same day. This is literally the stuff that streams are made of for Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, and that week 2 was just absolutely incredible for Samsung. They were able to easily take control of that first group, but you have to take those victories with a grain of salt. While they were able to have such commanding victories, their counterparts were not playing to the best of their abilities, and losing at 24 minutes, you got to try to lose that hard.
Yeah, and they were so dominant in that week 2 that I feel like the storyline has taken a very sharp turn for them. Papa Smith, you were just talking about how a lot of people didn't think, or even Korean fans, that they deserved to be here, that they would show Korea true. A lot of people were distancing themselves from Samsung. No, they're on a different level from SKT and ROX. And suddenly they're the prohibitive favorites to make it to the finals. And I wonder if they can kind of have that mentality shift and use it for the positive, from being the underdogs to suddenly being the prohibitive favorites and the ones that have to represent Korea on that side of the bracket. Suddenly there's a lot more pressure on them.
And they've just never been a favorite. That's the reality of Samsung Galaxy. They've always been an underdog. In the summer season, they beat ROX Tigers first time out, never took a single game, not a match, single game of any of the other top 3 teams. Very much a surprise they're here. This is the first time they're playing the favorite, and that's why you have to wonder, are they going to be up to the task? Because people are saying 3-0, 3-1 Samsung. There's no guarantee, though, given that there's no track record to make that prediction.
Well, they've never been the favorites, but they are tonight. So let's turn to the sole North American representative here in Chicago, Cloud9, who struggled in week 2 of groups, but managed to qualify over IME and the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and I think that was a very difficult group they came out of, but unfortunately for Cloud9, they kind of backed their way into the semifinals. They went 1-2 on that final day of groups. The game that qualified them was a very nail-biting game against Diamond, where they almost threw away a very large lead, and they recognized that they didn't play well in that game, but they have to kind of conquer the fear that they were playing with and play without their inhibitions and just be able to have a much better week, because if they play like they did in week 2, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that second week was obviously much worse than that first one. And I think that what they're going to try to do is really release all their inhibitions, as you mentioned, and play not scared. We saw Cloud9 that was undecisive, unable to really pull the trigger, and it shows in their average game time being over 47 minutes. That is extremely long, and that it's just a trait of a team that is struggling with indecisiveness. But similarly to how we can think that Samsung is going to have a shifted mindset, we can expect the same out of Cloud9. And backs to the wall, they might be able to come out guns blazing and actually show up in this tournament.
All right, so while we recognize that Samsung Galaxy are the favorites here, my question to you guys then is, how does Cloud9 get an edge or a victory here tonight?
I mean, the first thing you can say is the Victor pick, right? That was the big story. We wondered if Victor would be banned. TSM left it up, for example. The story with Victor is actually an interesting one. If you look over Crown's career stats on Samsung, 3 splits started in summer of 2015. 31% of his games played career on Samsung are on Victor. And that sounds like a big number, but for context, look at someone like Bjergsen in his 2 years. The last 2 years on TSM, his highest percentage champion is 10%. Kuro, known for his Victor before Crown, even on the world stage, but certainly in LCK, 18%. 31% is a massive amount, and you have to respect that this guy can play the good Victor matchups and the bad ones and know the ins and outs better than anyone else.
Yeah, and I think it does start in Champ Select if C9 wants to be able to win this game, because even though Samsung has been practicing their way towards perfection, they've done it with a very small subset of champions. So they have a S tier in their roles individually, and then not too many champions underneath that. You think of Cannon and Rumble in the top lane, Victor in the mid lane. So I think that C9 needs to target the best of the best very heavily in bans, and then understand what they're going to be picking against. So I want them to ban the Victor, the Nidalee, and the Kennen, which I think takes the top 3 in 3 of their roles, and then they'll be able to play against the Rumble, the Ryze, or the Syndra, or the Varus in the mid lane, and just know what they're going up against and try and build a strategy around that.
And on a more in-game specific note, I do think that they should enable Impact to carry, and let's hear that top dive for him once again, because he was able to do so much work in the qualifying run for Cloud9, and he has just received such little attention from the jungler, from the support every once in a while with this roaming Smoothie, and if they just enable him more and put him on a harder carry champion, perhaps a split pusher, as we have seen some teams find success with a 1-4, we might be able to see Cloud9 actually come out ahead and find a weakness in Cuba and actually have a pressure point on the map that they can use to snowball.
Worth noting that CoreJJ will be starting today. He seems to have been really the tonic for this team to take it to the next level. The numbers don't necessarily show it, but the way the team plays with CoreJJ is undeniable. He really has been a big upgrade, a big laning focus, and it's helped up Ruler as well.
Yeah, and you almost want to call it something like game vision for Samsung increases when CoreJJ is in the lineup. Even though they have the same gold differences in many parts of the game, they just end much more quickly, and they look like a much more decisive team with CoreJJ in there.
It's such a smaller sample size, Jad. That's the question. He only ever played 16 games in his career with this team, 16 games in his career in the support role. So it's a much smaller sample size, and And we just have to see, is it a good luck charm, or is there actually a measurable difference between the two?
Now, don't forget, over on Riot Games 2, we're bringing you a different angle on the competition. Today, join our team of casters and special guest Zig as they focus on individual matchups and perspectives while also taking your questions live on the air. For Game 1, they'll feature a single team focus, casting the game with vision limited to Cloud9's perspective. Of course, now, before we send it to the casters for Game 1, I want to get your guys' predictions. Who is going to be the first team to book their trip to New York City?
Well, I mean, if we've seen anything from Worlds, that is everything's gone crazy, but you still have to side with the undeniable favorites here. I think Samsung has a clear advantage into this matchup, so I'm going to go with them.
It's not going to make the fans here happy, but Samsung
Truth
Galaxy
hurts.
here. What about you, Papa Smithy?
I don't really know how to be a Korean representative and also play the favorites for the crowds. You just look at the tape. Unless Cloud9 finds a very inventive way to take the early game, I think if you're a betting man, it has to be 3-0 Samsung.
3-0. That's a big call there. Jat, what are you thinking?
I mean, it's very tempting to give the crowd what they want,
It's TSM. No.
but do not give in to temptation. It's a
Never.
bait. In this situation, I definitely feel like while Samsung does have some predictability in the pick and ban phase, Cloud9 is not the team to beat them based off that. I think they can probably take a game here because they have some strong solo lanes and will have some better advantages. But I say Samsung 3-1. I'm sorry, it's just what I think.
All right,
I will
well,
go
it's
3-1 as well.
3-1 as well. All right, well, it's pretty definitive on the desk here for Samsung. But although some may say that Samsung's group stage performance was a surprise, Crown and his team are already looking forward and setting the bar higher.
뭐 다른 사람들이나 바깥 쪽에서 보는 입장에서는 8강까지 온 것만으로도 기적이고 엄청 성공한 건데 저희는 만족하면 안 되는 그런 직업이라서 목표는 항상 더 높고 만약에 목표를 이뤘다 해도 새로운 목표를 갱신해서 또 올라가야 되는 직업이라서 지금은 또 이제 8강까지 올라갔으니까 이제 다음 목표는 4강까지 4강을 올라가면 이제 다음 결승까지 이렇게 해서 계속 올라가고 있는 것 같아요.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Chicago. Rivington Biz in the third here with Sam Kobe, Hartman Kensler, and Mitch Crepo of Vorspools to bring you our first clash of the knockout stage between Samsung Galaxy and Cloud9. Guys, we heard the analyst desk had to say. We're about to see what happens on the Rift, though.
Super excited for this matchup. They talked a little bit about the pick bans, but there definitely are some things to watch out for.
Yeah, especially contrasting the week 2 performances, C9. As much as the crowd likes them to win, they weren't that good in the second week, and Samsung, they looked massive in that second week.
Well, I'm sure the players don't want to wait. The fans definitely don't want to wait anymore. So before we get on the Rift, let's take a quick look at the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is going to be Korea's Samsung Galaxy. That means it's Cuvee in the top lane. Ambition coming out of the jungle. Crown holding down mid with Ruler and Core JJ at AD carry and support with Coach Edgar behind him.
And on the red side of the Rift is North America's Cloud9. Up top is Impact in the jungle. Meteos, mid, Jensen, AD carry Sneaky, support Smoothie, and Coach Reaper.
It's going to be, like you said, picks and bans. What will happen here? Jat mentioned a little bit ago, small champion pools, but both Samsung and Cloud9 have Samsung 18 champions played across the team and Cloud9 19. Divide that by 5. It's a kiddie pool.
Yeah, I mean,
around in.
A lot of the teams here at Worlds, have had fairly compact champion pools, but this matchup especially, I'm definitely looking at the AD carry. Jin has been really big for both those AD carries. Long time, streamer of Sneaky there showing up on that Jin, as well as Ruler, plus the fact that strong bottom lanes, especially for blue side, are really important right now.
Yeah, especially in this matchup. We'll touch on that more later on, why it is exactly the bot lane that is so important. But right now, we need to look at pick and bans and see if something different happens compared to what we're used to. We're so used to seeing minor pinch on mid lane and mostly targeting the key junglers, but that could change. If we target a single role, suddenly these players would have to dive in their 4th and 5th champion, and very few of them have had to do so far.
Exactly. One of the obvious ones that's jumping out in everybody's mind, of course, in the mid lane, is in addition to Ryze and Syndra, the Victor that has not shown himself quite here yet, but Cloud9 2 more, and there you go.
You don't gamble against the Victor. Also a matchup that Jensen was struggling with a little bit. Lost both Victor into Ryze and Ryze into Victor. Both champions off the table right here. The only real mid lane champion remaining that's been prominent is that Aurelion Sol.
Right, Aurelion Sol, and considering these two mid laners too, to me the Cassiopeia for Jensen also rises up now with the bans that are on the board, but now we're swapping over to top lane. That's been big for both Cuvée and Impact, who have been extremely good top laners this tournament.
Yeah, so we're looking at the likes of a Rumble being open right now, which is high for these players. Nidalee is off the table. Elise is a primary pick here. Aurelion Sol's a pick we're looking at, so Olaf would be a surprise right here.
Yeah, I mean, Olaf going to take it away from Meteos. Ambition was one of the junglers to pick that up. We'll see what they combo it with, because you definitely want some more speed. The Karma is available for them. Sivir is always an option, though very rarely used. And as I said, the Jhin, I think, very high in priority, maybe even early pick here for Cloud9.
Could easily be a Karma Rumble here in first rotation too, you know, solidifying that early Rumble pick, always having pressure for Impact in the top lane. Neither of these junglers really visit top all too often, so that could definitely favor towards a priority on the Rumble.
Seeing how many picks are actually contested between these teams really doesn't, it's a mind game of they're taking it away plus getting the champion that they want. Already happened with the Olaf. The picks and bans are basically shared by both teams as well. You could have seen those bans from either side, and we'll see them throughout the rest of this best of 5. What will they go with? Will it just be kind of a sneaky pick, not showing too much? It is going to be that Caitlyn lock-in, and they do grab the Rumble.
As we mentioned, also along with the Jhin, Caitlyn very strong with the extra range down there. We'll see if they combo that with one of those long-range poking supports as well, because we've seen the Zyra. Karma can also be flexed there, no hesitation. There's your extra speed for the,
no more flexing
for the Olaf. Yeah, no more flexing.
Lock.
But you do get that guaranteed, you know, it really just enables Olaf, because Olaf does fall off in mid and late game pretty heavily.
Yeah.
And the threat he needs comes from the teammates that you surround him with.
I love this pick that Samsung did, though. Just instantly, Cloud9, what do you got? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, right, they have to be prepared. They must have ran a million pick and ban scenarios in their preparation.
I think that's really good research by Samsung, because that was one of the things that we mentioned as well. Jumping right to the front of your mind as you see the bans on the table is the Cassiopeia for Jensen has been his go-to. He likes to be the backline, very high DPS AP from the late game.
But historically, Aurelion Sol into Cassio has seemingly been a decent matchup. It's the matchup that Faker has at the worst stats in of his career almost, I feel. He's gone down in regional qualifiers, even during Worlds, so
yeah,
definitely something you could play. This actually, the Orianna pick was the expected answer into Cassio in the start of the tournament, but because there was not as high of a priority as expected, we very rarely saw Orianna come out. But it's a super doable matchup, and it's very easy to play for the Orianna. It's very hard to outplay if you're Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Mostly because the ball zones versus the attack.
Right.
Really do like that matchup, especially since when you pick Aurelion Sol, there is a bit more pressure to be proactive early, and if that's not your comfort zone, where Jensen has been a mid laner to dominate mid lane. He wants to play aggressively, push up in his lane, and try and harass under turret, and may not be, you know, as accustomed to the high roaming style and trying to get kills elsewhere.
That Rek'Sai may be the available early blue for Jensen to keep up with Crown's pushing. We see the Jhin and the core JJ Echo pick for Cuvée coming in.
Super likely that we're going to see that early blue buff handoff. Right now, Smoothie is looking for a pick, and combined with Meteos, that's pretty much the engage for C9. So they need to draft at least a combination of two champions that can start fights or at least facilitate those engages, because their mid games have been very slow, and that might be why they're still going for this Alistar despite having a range support against them. But that unit, that Caitlyn Alistar, is more than fine alone in the bot lane.
Exactly. The Caitlyn Alistar is actually one of my favorite combos of ranged melee bottom lane, because you have the threat of comboing the Alistar all-in with a trap. That just provides so much setup for a jungler. Really a lot of pressure there.
Definitely a lot of pressure, and it allows the Caitlyn also to just use the range to kind of 1v2 the laning phase. Miners to stay from Alistar. Really good combination overall.
Ignite is fight lane. Smoothie's got it locked in. Meteos could, again, we've seen him in previous games, come to that bottom lane, get the flashes blown, and at least give Sneaky and Smoothie a way to get through the lane quite easily.
Also, I really like the Rek'Sai passive pickup for Cloud9, because they have actually struggled a bit with the vision, especially towards the mid and late stages of the game where they start to fall off. Rek'Sai is going to provide a lot of extra intel for them. We'll see what they're able to do, though. Game number 1, and everybody is getting amped up.
Hard to believe we've already been through 2 weeks of games, and there's already more to come here. The coaches say good luck one last time to the teams and each other as we're about to be on the Rift.
And I just want to say I love this venue. It's built for acoustics. We can really feel like when the fans are cheering, despite lower number than we had in San Francisco, it is loud in here.
I really love it when you can actually feel the audience.
Oh yeah, it's heating up in here. We still have chills. Let us know who you are backing. Tweet at LOL Esports. Good start. With the hashtag SSG win or the hashtag C9 win. We'll tally the vote in game as usual. The crowd is ready at home in the Chicago Theater. Samsung Galaxy and Cloud9. Looking to keep their hopes alive here in Worlds 2016. We're about to be on the Rift.
Yeah. And despite what the signs in the crowd were saying, they're actually running it down bot lane right now. You'll see it once we zoom out.
Get some frequent flyer miles here. The crowd is behind him. It is home turf, and the game has begun. We'll see how Samsung and Cloud9 go at it in our first quarterfinal best of 5.
Yeah, we saw a 4-man run in the bot lane right there. Samsung moving together, trying to get in there for some vision. There's a reaction from C9 right after.
Yeah, I think it's highly likely that the Samsung bottom lane will go to interrupt the Gromp, but Cloud9 have placed their defensive ward already. As soon as Samsung walk over, up through the river, they'll see him coming, and this bottom lane should probably just have both of them start with outside camp. You really want to do that with the double range to try and abuse the ranged and melee as soon as you can. Topside start for both junglers, though, and Cloud9 do have vision on the Olaf.
I wonder if we're going to see Ambition take advantage from the fact that Meteos is so predictable in his pathing on that Rek'Sai starting topside and then handing off to blue.
You know, very well could do that on the Rek'Sai, but also, if you've set a pattern and people are expecting you to go very passive, Olaf is one of the jungle champions that you can actually attack in the jungle because he likes to get low for the quicker clear, and you can try and surprise him, you know, maybe get a summoner. Meteos, though, usually going very, very safe in the early game, trying to get farm advantages as opposed to pressuring.
And I want to delve a little bit into the mid lane pick of why Orianna is such a good pick into Cassiopeia. It's because Cassiopeia always stacks straight. It's the Q into E combo, walking up. Orianna doesn't really get punished too much from Miasma. Early on, there's good base damage, but once you hit like level 3, 4, 5 on Orianna, she just puts the ball forward, and Cassia will get punished and slowed every time she walks up to finish a trade. That will make it so she can't stack multiple E's on you, you can disengage, and then at level 6, there's always the looming threat of an Orianna ultimate.
There it is. You talked about predicting the slow route there. Cloud9, Meteos is going to be able to get his blue, but what you deny is the blue handoff.
Definitely so, but he does set a super fast clear doing this path, and Ori as a champion is fine farming, a little bit pushed in early.
Not too much pressure as of just yet. As you said, Kobe, Meteos really not liking to counter jungle too much, or get aggression, I should say. He actually counter jungles quite well in the early game. For just about 16% of the enemy's jungle camps. Ambition's looking at about 6 there before 15 minutes, so that could really hurt Ambition if he's moving slow around the jungle with that low health.
Yeah, see, Meteos actually really does like to not only control Scuttle Crabs for the extra vision, but steal away the single small camp every time they get any sort of vision on the enemy jungle. Remember that they did see Olaf start on the top side, so this is very predictable, the route that Ambition has taken, and it is a very full clear, but shouldn't catch Jensen by surprise here, even though he's pushed fairly far up.
I mean, he has subs, he knows he can survive a gank, so he's just going to try and probably ghost out here. Might have to flash him.
Ambition goes very early.
That was
nice juke.
That was actually an amazing juke there by Jensen. He did not give Crown the passive movement speed on his Q.
And this all ties together here. So good start from C9. They both walk into river, both their top laner and the jungle to put 2 wards down, and that actually allows them to play super aggressive in the top side like they were doing earlier with that river vision. Impact, despite actually only getting 3% jungle tension before 15 minutes, is generally always pushing and has a massive CS lead. This guy plays like a monster despite playing on an island.
Yeah, I think everybody really playing accordingly there. No big surprises. For Samsung, it actually didn't give up anything to go for that gank.
Nope.
Yes, Ambition did trade Ghosts, but his camps, remember, he started on the top side, so he's just going back to that top side. Very efficient clear still. Didn't lose any time with that, and I don't think that any team or either team right now really add to any big, meaningful difference.
No, we're looking at pretty much even CS across the board, except for in that top lane where Impact was relentlessly pushing from early on.
Yep.
It's a
No,
nice spot here.
he smited early.
Yeah, that's a steal.
Smited early for the extra poison from the Gromp to help him kill it, but bottom lane pushing up. This is something that we kind of touched on in Champion Select. The importance, especially on blue side, of very strong, double range bottom lanes, so you can then go to invade and you get that vision stacking going.
Yeah, but Sneaky got through the power shove of the early levels where the Karma Poke is pretty obscene. He managed to go at even CS, and right there you saw him punish that fourth shot as well. Really good combo E into Q, layered in between, within the headshot proc from the E-Mark. Really well played. They're looking for ambition to break the game open here for Samsung Galaxy, because Impact is pushing quite heavy on the top lane.
Definitely agree with your bottom lane point there, because you do have to keep in mind that all-in potential that we talked about from the Alistar and Caitlyn, especially in the early stages where there's very low vision at the moment, and the first support recalls are really where the dangerous moments come, where you're trying to get that first line and, traps can be set up.
I like what C9 is doing.